So Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens came out in late December, and I know this is a bit late, but I'm making Star Wars Episode 8 predictions, because there's a lot I want to talk about. Now, this may be a bit of a longer video, because I definitely do have a lot to talk about, so, just warning you for that. So I'm going to start off with where I think the movie should start. I think the movie should start where Episode 7 left off, which is actually something the Star Wars movies have never done. There's always been a number of months or even years between each Star Wars episode, so this would definitely be a first for the Star Wars universe, but I think they definitely should do this because Star Wars Episode 7 left at a cliffhanger, which actually most Star Wars movies don't do, so I think they should start off where they left off with Rey coming up towards Luke, and they look at each other, and it's obviously this tense moment because Rey is going to get trained by Luke. So I could see an interesting dynamic with Luke training Rey. Now, as you know, Star Wars has a lot of parallels, it mirrors each other a lot, and in Episode 5, when Yoda is training Luke, Yoda at first refuses to train Luke, but then Obi-Wan has to convince him to do that. Now, obviously, Luke training Rey is going to parallel Yoda training Luke, so I could see him for a long period of time refusing to train Rey because his last apprentice, Kylo Ren, went to the dark side and destroyed basically everything he had. Yeah, and I could also see him just refusing to use the Force, period, because he doesn't want to make that mistake again. But hopefully the Force ghosts of Obi-Wan, Yoda, hopefully Anakin will return as well. Hopefully Qui-Gon, although I don't know if they would do that because they're trying to avoid the prequels, which is unfortunate because those are actually pretty good movies. But, hopefully Force ghosts will appear and they'll convince Luke, saying basically, she's the last hope, you have to train her, she's the only way that the First Order can be stopped. So eventually he agrees, he trains her, and hopefully we could see some of that training, maybe some lightsaber duels where they're training to get Rey's skills even better with a lightsaber, maybe Force training like Yoda trained Luke to raise the rocks and raise the ship out of the swamp. So basically stuff like that, and maybe the running and jumping on the vine, stuff like that, kind of mirroring what Yoda trained Luke. Now, speaking of training, Snoke is also going to be training Kylo Ren, which will be a very interesting thing to see, because while we have seen a little bit of Jedi training with Yoda training Luke, we really haven't seen any Sith training or dark side training, so hopefully we'll get to see that with Snoke training Kylo Ren, and of course he'll get, more stronger with the lightsaber, since some people are saying he was weak in Episode 7. I wouldn't call him weak, but he's definitely not in his prime yet, and I believe his crossguard lightsaber was destroyed in Episode 7, I saw that somewhere. So maybe he can construct another crossguard lightsaber, but this one looking a lot better, not being unstable, this one being stable and, looking a lot better, not looking like it was made by a child. So stuff like that. Maybe he could also learn stuff like a Force choke, if he doesn't already know that, Force lightning, stuff like that. That'd be cool to see. So yeah. Now, while we're on the topic of Snoke, I think we'll get to see more of Snoke's identity. I don't think we'll get his, full identity reveal, who he is, if he is someone from the past, from past movies, or past Legends material, even. I don't think we'll get that reveal until Episode 9, but I think we'll definitely get some more clues. We'll get to see him, where he is, not a hologram, see him in his actual location, how tall he is, maybe he's tall, maybe he's short, who knows. It would be nice to see him with lightsabers. I'd like to see his lightsaber. That would be really cool to see. Maybe it'd have a cool design. But we might not see that until Episode 9, if we even see it at all. Because you do have to remember, we didn't see Sidious's lightsabers in the whole original trilogy. So, definitely more of Snoke would be good, and we'll get some more clues of who he actually is. And then, of course, there's Rey. We're also going to see a lot of Rey, because she is the main protagonist of the sequel trilogy. And for most of the movie, I believe she'll be away from the Resistance and training with Luke, just how Luke was away from the Rebels, training with Yoda. just to kind of parallel episode 5. So we'll definitely see that. And some people are predicting that the final battle of this film will be between Kylo Ren and Rey again. However, I don't think this is true. I'll talk about the final battle later. But I don't think we'll see her in any lightsaber combat until episode 9, besides from her training lightsaber combat with Luke. So we'll definitely see more of Rey, more of her character. But I also want to talk about her, who her parents are. I did a theory on this. I personally think it is Luke. So I think we'll get that reveal in episode 8 to parallel the reveal of Vader being Luke's father in episode 5. So I think Luke will reveal to Rey sometime in episode 8, maybe towards the end, that he is in fact her father. And then I also want to talk about Kylo Ren. I already talked about his training, but I think we'll get to see more character development with Kylo Ren too. I think he might discuss with Snoke, Rey being his cousin, obviously after Luke tells Rey that he is her father, so it can be revealed at that point. But then Kylo will talk about, the fact that he has to fight his cousin with Snoke, or maybe he doesn't talk about it, maybe he just has it bottled up inside. And he also might talk about how he regrets killing his father, or again, he might not talk about it, but he might show it, that he doesn't know if he made the right decision, stuff like that. So I definitely think we'll see this character develop a lot more, as well as getting stronger when he's training with Snoke. And then I think at the very end, he'll come out of his training, fully trained, and I think he will be in the final battle. But I don't think it's going to be against Rey. However, I think Kylo will be in the final duel. So now I want to talk about the other two main characters in this film besides Rey and Kylo Ren. So these two characters are, of course, Finn and Poe, and I think just like Princess Leia and Han Solo, they'll be away from Rey, just like Han and Leia were away from Luke. And I think they'll be with the Resistance, fighting the First Order, and I think there might be a few battles, maybe, 1 or 2 battles in this movie with the Resistance against the First Order, and it'll be cool to see them fighting against the First Order, the new graphics and stuff, the modern Star Wars with the ships and stuff. That'll be very cool. And speaking of the wars and the battles, I think it'd be very cool if we could see more of Captain Phasma, General Hux, people like that actually engaged in battle. It'd be cool to see Finn against his old boss, Captain Phasma. That'd be definitely very cool. So it'd be cool to see these two in battle, stuff like that, kind of running away from the First Order, just like how Han and Leia were, fighting against the Empire in Episode 5. And now I'm going to talk about something that you probably wouldn't expect me to talk about in an Episode 8 predictions video, and that is Ezra Bridger. Ezra Bridger is the main protagonist of the Rebels animated series, and he is a new Jedi getting trained by Kanan Jarrus. Now, there has been an actor cast in Episode 8, Benicio del Toro, and it's rumored that he will play a villain in Star Wars Episode 8, kind of to work along with Kylo Ren and Snoke, and I think he'll be playing Ezra Bridger fallen to the dark side, because obviously Ezra and Kanan, they're kind of trying to be like Obi-Wan and Luke to restart the Jedi Order, but obviously that can't happen for Luke to be the last Jedi in Return of the Jedi, Episode 6, so obviously they either have to be killed or leave the Order or something like that. And I think the Rebels TV season is either going to end, or the season's going to end with Ezra turning to the dark side and killing his old master. And I think he's getting, killing Kanan Jarrus, and he's going to get trained by Darth Maul and Snoke. So I think he'll be one of the founding members of the Knights of Ren, and he's going to work alongside Kylo Ren, and it'll definitely be very interesting, because I believe Ezra he very much hates Vader. He doesn't like Darth Vader, and Kylo Ren is literally Vader's grandson, and he idolizes Vader. So there's definitely going to be some tension there with their different views. So that'd be interesting to see. They're both bad guys, but they don't like each other. I'd like to see that aspect of it. But it'd be cool to see an older, more mature version of Ezra fallen to the dark side. One of the last things I want to talk about is the possible return of Hayden Christensen. Now, Hayden Christensen was the actor who played Anakin in the prequels. Some people hated him. I really liked his acting. I thought it was amazing. He played a great Anakin, and I would love to see him return as a Force ghost guiding Rey and Luke. But I would also like to see him return as kind of a Sith Force ghost, like a Sith spirit guiding Kylo Ren. Now, I wouldn't like to see him return in the suit. I think it would be very cool if he returned as he looked like Anakin. He'd be Hayden Christensen, but he would be Darth Vader. He'd be Darth Vader before he got in the suit, before his duel with Obi-Wan. That'd be very cool, kind of his prime, because he's definitely more powerful before he's in the suit, because he has more Force power and stuff like that. So that'd be very interesting. It would be cool if the Force Ghost was guiding Rey and Luke, but then the Knights of Ren, who idolized Vader, could have resurrected the Sith spirit, so they kind of separate Anakin's soul almost into his dark side and light side, and his dark side is helping the Knights of Ren, and his light side is helping Rey and Luke. So that'd be very interesting, but any way that Hayden Christensen returns would be very cool, because I really like him acting. Yeah, I really like his acting, and I really like him as Anakin. So the last thing I want to talk about is the final lightsaber duel in this movie. Now, I don't think it's going to be between Rey and Kylo Ren. I think that's going to be for Episode 9 for their ultimate battle that will be even better than Anakin versus Obi-Wan on Mustafar. But I think this battle will be Kylo Ren versus Luke. I think Luke will be trying to protect his daughter, so he'll kind of hide her away in the First Order, and Kylo Ren will eventually find Luke, and, they'll find Luke, and Kylo Ren will come out and try to kill him, so they'll have this duel. So the final duel will be between Luke and his old apprentice Kylo Ren, and so they would obviously fight, and I could see Kylo Ren killing Luke, and while Luke right now is a lot stronger than Kylo Ren, he might have gotten stronger in his training, so Kylo Ren might be able to kill him, and Luke would return as a Force Ghost in Episode 9, along with, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin. But I could also see them surviving. After all, in all the middle films, which is Episode 2 and 5, no one has died in the final battle. In Episode 2, Yoda fought against Darth Tyrannus, and it was a tie, no one was killed. And then in Episode 5, Luke fought against Vader, and of course no one was killed. Luke just jumped off and was eventually caught by the Millennium Falcon. So no one has died in the final battle of the middle films, so they could stick with that tradition and have the battle end in a tie with Kylo Ren and Luke both surviving. Or I could see, of course, Luke being killed off. But either way, I think this will be a great battle. I don't think it'll be as good as the battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan on Mustafar. I think they'll kind of save that for Episode 9, but I still think it will be one of the best lightsaber battles of the saga, because The Force Awakens was a great movie, but honestly the battle between Rey and Kylo Ren was pretty disappointing, so hopefully they'll make up for that in Episode 8. So yeah, that was my Episode 8 predictions. Of course, it's kind of a longer video. I have a lot to talk about. So I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment if you want. There'll be more content coming up soon. And I will see you all next time.